Hey, I'm Cass Rogan and you're watching Social Talk, the show that breaks down the trending stories that got people talking online during the week. Here's what's coming up in today's show. We find out more about the ins and outs of this year's budget, learn why the hashtag Proudboys was trending on Twitter, and chat about why one of Australia's furry friends may be in a little bit of trouble. But first today to a story about TikTok. Normally scrolling through the TikTok For You page, you'll see viral dances, crazy challenges and comedic sketches. But this trending hashtag is helping to break the stigma of mental health. Let's head to Chelsea to find out more.
For all the TikTokers out there, you've probably heard about the hashtag Mental Health Matters that has been trending through the month of October. But what does it involve? From videos of people sharing their story, educating others, showing compassion and sharing mental health resources, the hashtag has brought the TikTok community together at a time where support and reassurance may be all someone needs. In a nutshell, the hashtag aims to break stigmas and encourage people to start talking openly about mental health.
Little do you know how I'm breaking.
You can handle it.
Didn't think I'd use TikTok at nearly 30 either, but here we are.
With 2.1 billion views on the popular app, TikTok users would have come across the trending hashtag at least once. With TikTok users spending an average of 52 minutes per day on the app, could exposure to such videos trigger some people? Research shows that a startling 45% of Australians, almost half of the population, will experience a mental health illness at some point in their lifetime, with young people deemed most prevalent. But according to Global Web Index, 41% of TikTok users are aged between 16 and 24. So how effective are hashtags like Mental Health Matters on platforms like TikTok? Is it doing more harm than good? We asked the public for their opinion.
I think it would have huge impacts. I think it's a great initiative. I think a lot of people on sort of social networks like TikTok and stuff might be a bit more subjected to greater impact on mental health, like social exclusion, external validation and stuff. I think it's a great initiative.
I think it does raise awareness, especially to younger generations, because I feel like a lot of younger generations have TikTok. So
I agree. It's like TikTok's very geared towards like very young people, like young teens. But I do think sometimes hashtags are overused and it kind of ruins the integrity sometimes, where they use on things that aren't really relevant or inappropriate for the hashtag. So I think it can go both ways. It can undermine a cause, but also raise awareness for a cause.
But I do think it's really good to raise awareness and have more people talking about it. Because it is really important to talk about mental health, and it's becoming more like known and okay to talk about it. So I think TikTok, as it is growing, I think it is a good platform to share things like that, but only in a safe way.
The hashtag Mental Health Matters ironically began trending at a time of year where mental health awareness is a priority for other organisations as well. Way Ahead's Mental Health Month is celebrated every year in the month of October in New South Wales. This month encourages people to tune into their mental health and well-being, whilst encouraging them to seek help when needed. Way Ahead's Mental Health Month coordinator, Asha Zappa, chatted to me about their initiative and why raising awareness during a global pandemic has been more necessary than ever.
Overarching aim of Mental Health Month is to raise awareness of mental health, to decrease stigma around mental health issues, and to help people understand their own mental health and the mental health of others better. I think in general there is sort of an increased interest and awareness, because even for people not directly experiencing the virus, the mental health impact is really far-reaching.
Asha also shared her confidence in the trending hashtag Mental Health Matters, its impact on TikTok users, and how it contributes to the overarching focus of Mental Health Month.
Children and young people will see through false attempts to try and be hip, whereas something like TikTok, where it is organic, where people are engaging through choice, having a broad reach on something like TikTok just really helps to break down the shame and hopefully lead to people being able to seek help when they need it.
So there you have it, mental health matters, what it means and why it should matter to you. Back to you, Cass.
In this next story, we take a look at one of Australia's most beloved national icons, the koala. This week we saw Twitter users flood their feeds with the trending hashtag Koala Killer. But why? Here's Adam with the details.
Hey guys, you may have seen this hashtag floating around social media this past week. Hashtag Koala Killer. Originating in March of last year, it is now doing its next round of trending. The hashtag was first popularised by Australian YouTuber Friendly Geordies, who began the hashtag after criticising the New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian and her response to the 2019 bushfires. These fires ultimately resulted in 10,000 koalas being perished, hence giving birth to the infamous Koala Killer hashtag. The hashtag's sole purpose? Calling out any adversities affecting our beloved koala. So why is the hashtag trending this time? Well, this week on Wednesday, the New South Wales Government finalised amendments to the State Environmental Planning Policy, also known as Koala SEP, and the Local Land Services Act, with the sole aim to balance stopping the decline of koala numbers in New South Wales with the rights of farmers and landholders. Acting Deputy Premier Paul Toole said the agreement is a balanced outcome that will protect koalas and their habitats, all whilst protecting farmers' property rights. However, people quickly took the hashtag to Twitter to announce their distaste with this decision, spreading the hashtag Koala Killer, saying that now is the time to be strengthening koala protections, not weakening it. The Nature Conservation Council Chief Executive Chris Gambian stated this week that nothing in this bill helps ensure koalas survive beyond 2050, but it does mean property developers could bulldoze koala trees without needing an approval to do so. So, why this controversy? Well, here's what the amendment does. It retains 123 species that have been scientifically proven to be critical to koala survival. Refines the definition of core koala habitat, meaning it must be either a highly suitable habitat or a highly suitable habitat with koalas present. Decouples the private native forestry and the land management codes within the Local Land Services Act from Koala SEP. Strengthens landholder rights, so when a local council creates a plan of koala management, these amendments extend exhibition timeframes and introduce clear dispute pathways for landholders, ensuring they can access ecologists to appeal to what a council has put forward. Returns to on-the-ground surveys to remove the need to rely on the development application map. And finally, redefines the blue site investigation map. So what's the big deal with this? Well, one of the main criticisms is that this amendment does not apply to activities which do not require development consent from council. For instance, erecting fences, building sheds, and other usual farming practices. Also, the government's Local Land Services Amendment Bill would prevent any further expansion of koala habitat protections into private farmland, meaning farmers will be more protected from what councils can and cannot do. I spoke with CEO from the Australian Koala Foundation, Deborah Tabart, to find out what this amendment means for our furry friend.
In the year 2000, I called a whole stack of lawyers together and asked them to evaluate 22 pieces of legislation, including SEP 44. Can these documents actually step in when the koala needs help? And it was deemed no. And I have always wanted a Koala Protection Act, and in the old days I used to call it the National Koala Act, and I started, if you Google me, you'll find that I was starting to say this as late as, or as early as 1996, because I could just see legislation doesn't work. But I was encouraged to use the EPBC Act to get the koala listed federally. So in 2003, we nominated the koala as a species of national significance, and we got a no in 2006. We then nominated again in 2009, and you could tell that the federal government and the states were opposed to this. And then there was a Senate inquiry in 2011 where 101 submissions went in federally. There was 3 hearings, Brisbane, Canberra and Melbourne, And it was just overwhelming support for the fact that the koala was in trouble and that the states, including all their legislation, was inadequate to protect the koalas. So what should have happened after the koala was listed federally in 2012, a recovery plan should have been written. It was mandated to be written by 2014. It was a Labor government that nominated the koala and listed it, but then the Abbott government came in, and so every successive minister has. So it was Minister Abbott, Frydenberg, Hunt, Price, and now Lay have all delayed a recovery plan. Now, if that recovery plan had been in 2014, I do not believe we would see the carnage that we have now. And I am just so saddened to see that anyone still wants to play, the states are capable of protecting the koala, because, a $250,000 Senate inquiry made it clear they weren't. So I would rather just push for a national Koala Protection Act and not even fiddle around the edges with SEP 44, because I've never seen one piece of land protected by it in the past, and I don't see it happening now.
So, this amendment will soon be put forward for approval to the Governor on Friday the 16th of October and will then be introduced by the New South Wales Government to Parliament later this year. So there you have it, guys, the ins and outs of the amendments to the State Environmental Planning Policy, Koala SEP and the Local Land Services Act, and what this exactly means for our little koalas.
Retired journalist Kerry O'Brien recently caused a stir on social media by siding with former Prime Minister Kevin Rudd on which issue? A. Media ownership, B. US foreign policy, or C. China's response to COVID-19? The answer is A. Media ownership. The former ABC journalist said Kevin Rudd is right to worry about media ownership, especially when it comes to the Murdoch press. He stopped short of supporting Kevin Rudd's petition for a royal inquiry, however, and expressed doubts about what good a royal commission would really do. US Vice President Mike Pence and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris went toe-to-toe on Wednesday night's vice presidential debate. What about it caused a stir on social media? A. The Vice President's stance on tax, B. Kamala Harris' stance on fracking, or C. A fly landing on Mike Pence's head? The answer is C. Social media was abuzz on Wednesday night in the US after a fly landed on the Vice President's head for over 2 minutes. Even former presidential nominees were tweeting about it. The cost of university degrees will change due to a major shake-up of how much the Commonwealth will pay for students' degrees. One well-known politician got pretty fired up when speaking about it this week, so let's find out more. If you were on the Twitter sphere this week, you may have seen this particular video circulating.
I refuse to be the vote that tells poor kids out there, no matter how gifted, no matter how determined you are, dream a little cheaper. Because you're never going to make it, because you can't afford it.
But what exactly was this speech all about? Well, this is Tasmanian Senator Jackie Lambie. She delivered this impassioned speech in the Senate on Thursday morning, condemning a contentious bill that would change the way the government funds universities to teach domestic students.
I just had an absolute gutful of it, and I just could not twist it, so you start getting quite emotionally attached and involved to it.
This bill is called the Job Ready Graduates Package, and it has been designed to direct students into job-relevant university courses such as nursing, teaching, maths, science, health and architecture by increasing funding and reducing fees. Yet while fees for these job-ready courses are reduced, humanities and arts degrees will dramatically increase.
I just think, trying to tell kids what direction they should take in life at 17 years of age and tell them if they take this direction they're going to pay double for their fees, I find that really disgusting. And to me, trying to dictate someone because it's going to cost you more and trying to convince them to go into something else they're probably not suited to is going to set it up for failure. And that bothers me terribly.
By Thursday afternoon, the bill passed the Senate 28 votes to 26, despite the strong opposition of Labor and the Greens, along with independent Senators Rex Patrick and Jackie Lambie, as we saw. Many others have also critiqued the new laws, including the National Union of Students.
It's incredibly damaging not only to students on a ground level, but for the university sector more broadly in terms of its funding structures and what it looks like in the long term for students and for research and effectively job prospects in this country. It's going to strip away a lot of the accessibility to the system and it ultimately will make it harder for new students to receive a high quality education.
So this now means that from January 1st, the cost of some degrees will increase while others will be cheaper, and some won't change much at all. Fees for humanities and communications subjects will rise by 113%, while law, commerce and economics will increase by 28%. A full 4-year program in these disciplines will cost students about $58,000. Agriculture and maths degrees will become around 59% cheaper. Degrees in teaching, nursing, clinical psychology, English and languages will become up to 42% cheaper. For example, a 3-year nursing degree will now cost less than $12,000, down from over $20,000. Science, health, architecture, environmental science, IT and engineering degrees will all be up to 18% cheaper. Fees for medicine, dental and veterinary science degrees will remain largely stable. The package will also remove government support for students who fail too many courses.
It's just too hard for rural and regional kids as it is already, and to put those expenses out, I think it's going to deter them from actually going to university.
So the question is, will this really deter people from going to university? We asked some current students if these new changes would have altered their decisions.
Yeah, probably definitely would. I mean, it'd be tough to pay for uni without HECS, coming from our situations, but I don't know if it would stop me from coming to uni, but it would definitely affect my thought process, yeah.
I think so. I came into uni, I didn't know anyone that was going to uni and I actually failed a few courses in my first year.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think I can afford it.
Yeah, I couldn't afford to go to uni without HECS.
Probably not. I haven't had any real fears of failing anything. I can understand why people might fear it, but not for me.
I think it would definitely impact my decision. I don't have necessarily extra funds that I could pay for subjects up front, so yeah.
So will this reform actually work? Well, the discussion has been hotly contested, but we'll have to wait until next year to find out. The big news in Australia this week was the budget. It's the government's plan for how it's going to spend taxpayers' money over the next year, and this one is more important than most. Let's head to Harrison to find out why.
On Tuesday, Treasurer Josh Frydenberg unveiled Australia's 2020 to 21 budget, which was delayed by 5 months due to the coronavirus pandemic. It was a massive speech for Frydenberg as there was much to be addressed. Now some of you may be thinking, whoa, what's all this about a budget? So basically, just like most family homes will set a budget for how much they can spend and what that money is being spent on, Australia also has a budget. Every 12 months or so, the government has to allocate the money it collects into spending programs and determine the rate at which it will collect revenue via taxes. Today I'll be breaking down the ins and outs of this year's budget, as well as taking you through how and why it matters to you, who's going to be affected most by it, or more specifically, who the winners and losers of this year's budget are. The budget for this year is a very different one to those of previous years. Due to the recession, climate change and the ongoing effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, including widespread business closures and job loss, this budget comes amidst the worst economic conditions for Australia since World War II. The new budget is expected to blow national debt up to $966 billion by June 2024 and is being dubbed the most crucial federal budget in recent history. Here are the winners and losers of this year's budget. Winners! The government will be funding 50,000 new higher education short courses in areas like agriculture, health, IT, science and teaching, whilst $1 billion will also be going to universities to fund research. There will also be 12,000 new Commonwealth supported places for higher education on offer next year. Whilst this may seem like a win for higher education, university courses in areas like law and humanities are facing up to a 113% increase in fees. A big win for mental health treatment, the number of subsidised psychological services is set to double. Currently, Australians are eligible for 10 Medicare-funded psych sessions per year, and now they'll be eligible for 20. It looks like Lifeline, Headspace, Beyond Blue and Kids Helpline are all set to receive more funding too. Hospitals will also receive an extra $33.6 billion in funding over the next 5 years. Aged and disability support pensioners, carers, veterans and pensioners, concession/Commonwealth Seniors Health Card holders will also get the two $250 payments. Taxpayers are also amongst the winners. Stage 2 personal income tax cuts will be backdated to July 1st, 2020, putting $12 billion into the pockets of Australians. Here's the losers. Bum bum. Future generations. Gross debt levels are expected to reach $1 trillion with the budget deficit to pass $200 billion. Those on job seeker payments. The now $250 coronavirus supplement tacked onto the unemployment payment will end on December 31st.
Well, I had to move back home because I didn't have any work, and Job Seeker gave me like some sort of glimpse of hope. And with a job availability at an all-time low, I'm quite worried like I might not be able to get back to my original life for a very long time. So I don't really know anything else other than I'm quite disappointed in the government for really not thinking about me.
The childcare workforce is looking like it might be placed in a tight situation from the budget. Other than continued assistance for providers impacted by the Stage 4 restrictions in Victoria, there is nothing new for childcare providers in the budget. Earlier this year, when nationwide restrictions were introduced, the government provided a $1.9 billion lifeline to the sector, offering free childcare places. But after removing childcare providers from the JobKeeper program in July, the government substituted that payment for a transitional support payment and will continue to do so in 2020 to 21 at a cost of $708 million.
It was awful because what not a lot of people actually realise is that the centres were only being paid 50% of their daycare fee. So our daily rate is $104 a day. The government was only giving us $52, and that's how it worked with the free daycare. So the parents didn't have to pay. We were really lucky. We were still kept our numbers at about 95%. Our enrolment, which was amazing, but I had to run a centre off half our income because not all of my staff were entitled to JobKeeper. So yes, it was very challenging. Yeah, so once they stopped the free daycare, our income went back up, which was great. And then we lost JobKeeper, but it was okay. That was fine because we didn't. We were still at 95%. I imagine it would have been terribly hard for those centres that had lost enrolments.
The climate has slipped into the losers category this year. The budget doesn't include any more clarity about when the government thinks Australia will achieve net zero carbon emissions. The Prime Minister refused to commit to the target in September, but it does include the previously announced funding for Renewable Energy Support Agency's Australian Renewable Energy Agency, which is known as ARENA, and Clean Energy Finance Corporation, CEFC, and it's planned for them to now focus on low emissions technologies like carbon capture and storage. The government has also set aside $52.9 million over the next 4 years for investment in gas exploration and development. As for renewables like wind and solar, it considers them mature technologies and successful enough to no longer need government support. And there you have it, Social Talk's rundown of the 2020 to 21 federal budget.
And now to a story from the other side of the world. The backlash from comments made during the first US election debate caused widespread media attention, and whilst most of the talk was negative, one positive story made it out. The hashtag Proudboys became a top trending topic during the week, so let's head on over to Jack to talk a bit more about it.
The first US election debate was touted to be one of the most explosive debates in recent times, and well, it didn't disappoint. Leading up to the debate, President Donald Trump questioned Democratic candidate Joe Biden's ability as a leader, whilst Biden, who was leading in the polls at the time, called out Trump for his behaviour and his unprofessional antics. He was turned in anticipating a highly competitive debate, but well, viewers saw two 70-plus-year-old men do this.
So the question,
Why would you answer that
because
question?
the question is, the question
Supreme
is,
Court Justice,
the
radical
question,
left.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen, who is on your list, Joe?
One topic in particular got the media talking after the debate was over. US President Donald Trump's comments regarding white supremacy during the first US election debate left many questioning Trump's ideology towards white supremacy.
You want to call him What do you want to call them? Give me a name. Give me a
White
name.
supremacists and
Who would
white
you like me to condemn?
White supremacists and right
Proud Boys, stand back and stand by.
So that leads to the question of who are the Proud Boys exactly? Well, Proud Boys are a far-right male organised group founded by the co-founder of Vice Media, Gavin McInnes. Proud Boy members have been seen clashing with anti-left members at protests over the years, leading many to see the group as homophobic and a racist white supremacy clan. Whilst the group has denied these allegations, this stigma remains attached to them. Proud Boys' social media presence are all but none due to the fact that they are currently banned from all major social media outlets, such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and YouTube. So why did the hashtag Proud Boys start to trend on Twitter? Was it anti-left and anti-right members coming together in an argument of who's right and who's wrong? Not exactly. Members of the LGBT community used the Proud Boys hashtag to spread the message of love, not hatred, on social media by posting images of gay pride and pictures of themselves with loved ones. Star Trek actor George Takei tweeted, "I wonder if the BTS and TikTok kids can help this LGBT with this. What if gay guys took pictures of themselves making out with each other and doing very gay things, then tagged themselves with the hashtag Proud Boys? I bet it would really mess them up bad. Hashtag reclaiming my shine." The Star Trek actor wasn't the only well-known Twitter account that supported the hashtag Proud Boy movement. The Canadian Air Forces shared this photo of two soldiers embracing. This tweet has now been shared over 27,000 times. They also tweeted, "If you wear our uniform, know what it means. If you're thinking about wearing our uniform, know what it means." So how has the LGBT community in the United States reacted to this movement? Professor Bud Coleman, a lecturer of gender studies at the University of Boulder, Colorado, tells about how this Twitter movement has played out in the United States.
Well, with any of these, the Canadian photo, even hashtag Proud Boys, anything that increases visibility, I think is always good because it just helps to normalize it. It helps for people to go, oh, yeah, I never really thought about that subgroup. So I think any of those are a positive.
And what was the Proud Boys' reaction? Well, the current chairman of the Proud Boy group, Enrique Tarrio, told US broadcaster CNN he's not sure what these social media users are trying to achieve. "I think it's hysterical," said Mr. Tarrio. "This isn't something that is offensive to us. It's not an insult. We aren't homophobic. We don't care who people sleep with." President Trump later denounced both Proud Boys and all white supremacists at the end of the first presidential debate. So, was the hashtag Proud Boys movement a success? That's for you to decide.
Well, that's all we've got for today's show. Be sure to hop on over to our social media to let us know your thoughts on these trending stories. I'm Cass Rogan and this has been Social Talk.